Hello, everyone. Kaci and Rhonda coming at you today for our lightning round of coaching. We are diving into something that is so simple, yet so powerful when you learn how to incorporate it into your day-to-day routine. We are talking about time management today, right? And Rhonda has an incredible way of organizing, structuring, allowing for grace and flexibility, but also like creating a day where you feel so dang accomplished and fulfilled, and you're still like only halfway through the day.
Hey there, if you like this video, make sure to click the subscribe button so that we can let you know the next time that we drop a new video. So let's get
And
back
that's
to
what's
it.
amazing about it. So, are you ready for this, Rhonda?
I am ready. And it's really funny. Let me just like a little caveat here. So when we're talking about time management, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. What are we going to be talking about? And it's almost like like time management. That is the most sexiest thing in your business and in your life is time management. And here's the way that I want you to shift in thinking about time management is I want you to give your time directions. So how many have literally like you get a freebie, you get a pass one day. Like normally it's like really structured. Maybe it's like you thought you were going to have to travel to a ball game or to a soccer game. And then all of a sudden, like it's raining and like they call it off and you're like, oh my gosh, I just got 4 hours back. But then you get that time and at the end of it, you're like, crap, I don't have anything to show for it. I just wasted all that time. I would get like really mean. Like if I like had all of that time, but that's just the way that I am. I have all that time. I'm A-type personality. I like the structure. The little creative angel here likes to go, oh, we don't like that. We like to go color outside the lines. But part of giving your time directions is being realistic with your time. And the way that we do that is we think about seasons of time. We can think about in terms of seasons of life. Like if your kids are itty bitty, if your kids are a little bit older, like my kids are a little bit older, we can also think about time in terms of the seasons because the demands on our time are very different. I call it holiday hangover, which is October, November, December. It's very different than the June, July, August when we're all like in like the flowy linen dresses on the beach with the flip-flops. Very different demands on our time. But we as humans, we have a plate. It's only so big. And what we try to do is, oh, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. We're not putting boundaries really in place. And so do we want to go through kind of like our three-step on how we
Yeah.
manage our time? So you take it away. What's step number one, Cassie Brown?
Yeah. So step number one is that, acknowledgement of the boundaries, right? I love that you shared. It's like a plate, right? So we know we have 24 hours in a day, right? We also know that it's not healthy to work like 20 of those 24 hours in the day, right? No matter how stubborn we want to be, no matter how much we want to, right? It's actually diminishing returns that we're doing when we're putting that stress on our body. So I feel like the number one most important thing with boundaries is to realize like, and I'm going to say this number, it's one of those like, really, you've got about 4 hours of highly productive time, like overall, like in the average workday. Like if you were to look like from the 8 to 5 window of time, everything else is just, it's really hard because there's life, there's starts and stops. And this is boundaries also flow into the area when we talk about like, when I was younger, Rhonda, and I think you were the same way, multitasking was everything, right? And so we thought as long as we were multitasking, we were really accomplishing something, but we're really just consistently scrambling our brain and starting, stopping, and restarting focus takes like 5 to 8 times the amount of time it really would if you just put those blinders on, created that boundary of a time block or like an intention of like, this is what I'm going to do for this hour, or I'm only going to do this for 15 minutes. So did that explain the boundaries like you wanted? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I would just well, I would say we all have the same 168 hours a week. It's how you use that time that makes all the difference in the world. And if you were right now going, these girls are like so far out of touch, we are telling you because we have experienced this. All right. We've got the t-shirt. We've been there, done that. We checked that box, right? We've had the overwhelm. I had 4 kids in 5 years. Cassie Brown is very similar. So we know what hot messes look like. When I started homeschooling, it was like the dishes were like piles, laundry at the time, 20 loads, not even mom exaggerating. Couldn't find the vacuum cleaner. I was a hot mess. I couldn't. I just, it's almost like you freeze. So we are with you but we are telling you gently, one of the most important things is to recognize season of life and seasons and say yes to boundaries. Because if you're watching this right now, then you are probably at your low point right now, right? You're probably at that low point. So we've got the boundaries. Okay. So now I have mapped out, it's springtime. My boundaries are this. Then what is our next step for time management?
Yeah. Buffers and transitions.
Oh goodness. Like
This
that's love language to me now.
It is a love language, and it took like, this is the thing that took me the longest, right? And I will say, right, like Rhonda always shares like how I lift her up, and like when I share about how like what genius she has, and just like little pinky finger of the way that she can organize systems. When I explained to her how I use buffers and transitions, and her mind like was blown, I was like, oh, that must be something really good, because like Rhonda's not easily impressed. Like it's not like all fluff, you know what I mean? Like all fluff. Right.
Yeah,
and so when you say, oh, something's really good, like my soul, like just lights up. And so I'm really excited about this part of it, because when we talk about buffers and transitions, what I mean is like, and I'm taking it even further. So my husband is the one who plans out time and travel time. When he says we have to leave the house at X time to arrive, and I'll use a sports, my son usually has to arrive an hour before. Well, Adam Brown, 20 minutes early is on time. Right. So we're always ahead of the game. And it's because he starts factoring in red lights, traffic, a wife that usually leaves like 5 minutes after you've told her the time that you're going to leave. Right. So he's built in buffers. And when I looked at how successful he was with that, I started doing the same thing in business with my schedule, where I would build in buffers between calls, and I would allow myself, like, because when you get to the story in your head that you need to be productive and efficient 100% of the time, your calls go back to back to back to back to back to not give you like an out, right? To go over. Right. But it also doesn't give you an out to take lunch, or to go to the bathroom, or to get up and take a walk, or breathe and reground or center yourself. So the buffer was incredible too. And so we started doing that with our own business model and things like that. But transition was even more. So like if we're shutting down and transitioning from business to mom mode, or from mom mode to spouse mode, or from business to going to the gym for a swim, we would get stressed out and like really snappy. And that's when you get frustrated, because you've not allowed for transitions, for things that allow you the space to shift your energy and focus into the next block of what you're focused on.
So we're not going to give Adam Brown kudos for that. So that's like erased from this episode. I know he listens. I know he listens.
He planted the first little seed, and yeah, he'll be proud that I actually listened to something that he said.
I am that role model. That's probably where people who are watching, it's exhausting when your schedule rolls all over you. You are mean There's just like, let me describe. You are mean, you are snappy, you don't have dinner planned out, you're late, you don't want to do anything, you're overwhelmed, and none of this stuff is working. It's almost like, I don't want to transition into that, but that work-life balance is literally like, this what we're talking about now. To me, there's never been, this is work, this is life. I mean, it's a beautiful balance and a marriage between the two. There is a blur, but the boundaries first, like recognizing those, thinking about season of life. I keep recapping, thinking about where the seasons are right now. And wherever we are in the year when you're watching this too, I just want the moms to think about this. A lot of times I will hear customers and the feedback, well, the kids are getting ready to get out of school. So what am I going to do now? Instead of thinking of that adding on to the plate, let's make a transition and make space for that, because kids are only like itty bitties for so long. And it's funny because we're not extreme in like the time frame, but I have two in college, and Cassie's are what, middle school and high school?
Elementary, middle school, and high school.
Okay, so she's got the trifecta there. But like, it's those little reminders that the kids are out of school. What am I going to do with them? And as a mom, we've all asked that question. We've all said that. Let me like book them out. Well, when you're booking kids out, you're booking yourself out too, because there has to be transportation unless your kids are driving. All right. So just want to think about that. So we've got the boundaries, and then we have the transitions, and we have the buffers. When I started implementing that buffer and transition, yes, I have calls during the day, but it just makes it where I don't feel so exhausted. And having the buffers actually helps the transitions. And I don't get caught with my pants down. What are we going to have for dinner tonight?
Yeah. And I think too, it allows for a more peaceful energy, because I've even noticed this with Farah. Farah is our youngest. She's currently 7, about to turn 8. And I've shifted when she wakes up, because she needs a buffer to play and pet with the kitties, right? Like she gets distracted when she, and so she's not like an adult. And it only took a few times to be like, hey, we got to go. We're going to miss the bus, to see how that affected her at 7 years old. Like, I don't want her getting on the bus in tears because we had to go and she had to put her shoes on in the car, right? I just recalculate, add in some extra time to give her, or we'll shift right to the evening before. What are we doing to prep for the evening before? And so I love the way that you explain it in seasons, because, and especially like for moms, like the summer, my summer schedule is completely different. And we've mentioned this before. Who makes the rules? You make the rules, right? I love the European concept of the summer, right? The way that they adjust their business in the summer. And I was telling Rhonda, I'm like, I wish we could have European hours. And it's like, who makes the rules? We make the rules, right? So in your business, if your season shifts from in school or homeschool and then into summer hours, well, guess what? Maybe our summer hours, I'm done working by noon, because you get to choose. Right. And that's where the time management comes into play. And that's where our next step 3 comes into play. So are you ready for that, Rhonda? Because this is like, you love this.
And this is what we call it. Well, most recently we practiced this because we were recording a podcast episode, and we had a what was it called, Cassie Brown? It was a,
I don't know. Is this sticky note secrets?
No, it was a hard stop.
Oh, I got it. Stop. Hard stop. Right. Okay. Let's rewind it and we'll do it.
All right, Kaci Brown, because on a recent episode, we talked about this because we stopped because I was going kayaking with my family.
Absolutely.
And it's called a what? It's called a
hard stop.
Oh, friends, we really do know what we're talking about. We promise. Because, okay, so interestingly enough, these 3 points that we've made, and let's like apply this to our 3-day work week. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? 3 days, boundaries, transitions, buffers, hard stops. But what happens? Creep into past the hard stop, creep into, oh, I can do a little bit on Friday, a creep into, I can do a little bit on Monday. But because you've done the work, because you've set the boundaries, guess what happens? It pulls you back in all a good way. I say, like, when you fall off the horse, you can always get back on. I'll share one really quick story, and then I'm going to pass it over to Cassie. I almost said the other name of the person that I'm going to be talking about. So I was sitting there, no boundaries, no transitions. We was just going at it. And I'm like, maybe I can multitask and get these trips all in the same time. And so I'm texting my hairdresser, and I have a relationship with my hairdresser. She and I have, like, she's cut my hair for, you can't tell because I always wear caps. She's cut my hair for a long time. I'm not even going to tell how long, because the gray really, I mean, that's an in thing, right? Like, this gray is like an in thing, right? So anyway, so I'm texting Kim, and I'm like, hey, Kim, I'm going to be in town on Friday. Can you help me? Can you cut my hair? And I waited, and like, she texted me back, and she's like, I mean, it was like just these few words: I don't work on Friday. And I literally looked down. I thought it was Cassie. I looked down, and I'm like, I don't either. I mean, in my mind, but I had already preset that boundary. I don't work on Friday either. Great. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me, boundaries, that I don't work on Fridays and that I have hard stops. So I know how hard it is to start time management. I know it doesn't feel like sexy. It is the sexiest thing that you can do for your business, is to have boundaries, to manage your time, give your time directions. And then, like, the simple, like the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, is the buffer and transitions. And then if we just want to, like, be epic, it's a hard stop. It's a hard stop.
Yeah. And I want to just emphasize here, my personality, I'm not big with confrontation. I am a recovering people pleaser. It's one of those things where you can lovingly communicate that with someone, and they will not judge you. They will not get upset with you. They will not be hurt or angry. It is just in the communication. Like, if you start an appointment or whatever, and you just communicate, hey, before we dig in and before we get started, I have a hard stop at the stop of the hour. I just wanted to be able to make sure that we pace and we can stay on task. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. So I just wanted to give that kind of little bonus tip on the way that you communicate with people. And if they don't respect you, then maybe they shouldn't be on your schedule. But I want to also illustrate this, because when Rhonda and I walked through this with one of our clients, she was working 7 and 8 hour days, just saying yes to everything. There wasn't a lot of intention or thought or strategy about where her time or her brain space was going. And she was in a state of burnout, like complete burnout, overwhelm. I mean, working 50, 60 hours a week, like, who wouldn't be? Right. And so when we did sort of like the extraction, like, okay, what is all that needs to be done? Right? Life, family, business. What are the deliverables and your responsibilities and commitments on the items that you've sold or committed to showing up to teach? Right? Those go on the calendar. For me, my family activities go on my calendar first. So I kind of wanted to just paint out like what an example would look like after they go through this. So to recap, decide the boundaries, right? What you want that day to look like, schedule the buffers and transitions and the hard stops. Okay. And then you visually map everything out. You kind of like just do a brain dump, and then priority goes on the calendar first. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me. Like Hudson's tournaments, like McKaylee's appointments, Noah's stuff, Adam's follow-up doctor appointments at Duke, they go on the calendar first. And then I look at, okay, where have we committed to show up for the people in our coaching program? Where have we committed to make space for taking onboarding calls and scheduling other calls? And so we walked our client through the same exact process weighed the opportunities, got her down to like that 4-hour focused time frame and not being all over the place. Because what was happening is she was always available in her inbox. She was always available through like chat, social media and things like that. And what happens when you're always available? Like there's always stuff coming at you, right? And then you're responding to people's perceived emergencies, and you're not a priority anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So she was always on, not focused on the one thing, felt like she was always just spinning her wheels and not being really intentional and accomplishing things. So when we were done, Rhonda had it all mapped out on the whiteboard, and it was just beautiful. It was so beautiful and peaceful and tranquil, where it was like, I get to have dinner every night with my husband. I get to have Sundays off, right? I get to have an optional if I want Friday or if I want Monday off as well. Like the thing is, your schedule can be filled with whatever you want it to. Mm-hmm. So you will either fill your schedule or someone else will fill your schedule. Yeah. And that is what we want you to take away from today's episode is who and what are you allowing to be the priority that drive your schedule?
Yeah, we talk about time management, and I think what we've done is to kind of help you break it down into what that looks like. I guess to further define that, it's like, are we busy? Or are we busy, right? The busyness of our business doesn't necessarily translate into the revenue. And so here's my people pleaser. Like, let me just say this. I want you to love my husband. But one of the things that he saw me working the 8-10 hour days, like sitting on the bar stool. And at the end of the day, like the question was, well, how is that translating into revenue? And that was almost like that knife in my heart where I was like, oh, but I'm doing, and it will get there. Like doing all of those things that you think you need, unless your back is against a wall and you have a hard and fast deadline, we are not focusing our time and attention on really those revenue generating activities. Posting on social media is great, but having simple conversations with your dreamy customers to bring them in to work with you, I would rather fill my time with that than worrying about what's on social media. I don't own the platform. Algorithms change, all of those things change. And at the end of the day, a byproduct of how I'm leveraging time and what I'm doing with my time, we get paid for that. We're business owners. We all get paid for that. And I think even as women, this is another open loop. Even as women, like talking about money and making money, that's not a motivating factor for me. And I don't think it's a motivating factor for many. And that there's the open loop. We'll talk about that. But we are in business to make money. We are in business to accomplish those personal things that we have as our goals. So super sexy episode, Kaci Brown, and lots of pearls and gems to take away. So the way that we sum this episode is like we sum all of our episodes up. We are dropping these episodes like all the time, probably several times a day. I don't even know. Like and subscribe, show us some love, leave us a comment so we can heart it and like go through that and like see you. We want you to feel seen and heard. Because we've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. Also, the Underground podcast, known as Customers for Life, y'all, we're dropping episodes each and every week. We're not on Spotify. We're not on Apple. We are on our own channel. We are all that in a bag of chips, Kaci Brown. So,
oh, I love it. I love it. I just want to do an invitation here because I feel like we've either already done an episode or we will do an episode that breaks down our 3-day work week and kind of shows more of a behind the curtain of exactly what we prioritize, what goes on the calendar, what we say no to, and how we create those buffers and hard stops. So yeah, so I was just listening to, not only being present in this episode and thinking like, what would someone need? And I feel like when we started making decisions on what we were going to put attention to and what different blocks and things like that, and the way that we were going to have those focused blocks and the wedges in our weekly schedule and things like that changed everything. I feel like I remember when we did it where you were like, oh, I just feel so much better. Like just making that decision where this is only here. And the beautiful thing about it is, like, I feel like I'm just going to open loop another thing. The beautiful thing about it is some things are only once a month. Some things are only once a week. And then other things are like on a repeatable basis. And that's what's beautiful about it, because before I really kind of dug in here with time management, I was busy being busy, and that's just not okay anymore. And life is happening right now around us. And when you get strategic and intentional with your time, you still are efficient. You still accomplish what you want to accomplish, like even at a faster and more focused rate, but you have so much energy on the other end. I just want to like reading was one of the things that I read 4 books last week, not even including audiobooks, Rhonda. And it's just because of the way that I've done hard stops, what I'm going to do, and what I'm putting on my calendar, and creative white space. So tons of open loop there. I hope that encourages you to do the same thing with given directions to your time. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Talk soon.
Bye.